Alright, welcome back to another Art of War 3 replay. I'm your host, John Cena, and today we're going to be doing a clan 2v2 battle. I'm going to be the blue Confederate player, and my ally Bullet 82 MK2 is going to be the green Confederate player. So, let's go ahead and get into it. We're going to be facing off against two resistance players from British SAS. One of them, the yellow player, is a Medalist with a 77% win rate, so potentially a tough matchup here. Let's see how it pans out. We can see that both Bullet and I are just continuing to get some infrastructure out just to continue to develop our bases. We can see that I'm getting a cyclone now into the back of the yellow player's base just so we can get a good view of what they're up to. And we see some vehicles coming out, so there's a level 3 assault vehicle factory there, so some Jaguar tanks will likely come into play in a little bit. Coyote gets into Bullet's base there and gets a nice scout onto Bullet. Meanwhile, a fire assault here comes in onto the red player's base as a scout, and we can see that red is also at least HQ3 going for Jaguars, Porcupines, and Mammoths. So meanwhile, I'm moving a small contingent of units onto the large resource container on the left-hand side of the map. Bullet is moving some troops onto the other large resource container. We see a Jaguar tank coming in, and we see Bullet coming in with some Vertex, scores a nice hit on that special vehicle factory. Meanwhile, we see some vehicles fighting it out with Bullet's troops over the large resource containers. One Jaguar against a few assaults. I'm going to go ahead and move some infantry onto the container just to reinforce Bullet. Another Jaguar tank coming in for the yellow player. Again, we're just trying to delay the enemy from getting this resource container. Yellow is trying to reinforce. There's only a handful of infantry left, but at this point, we're okay with losing the container. We're just trying to make Yellow overcommit on taking this resource container. Let's see if we can capture these resources, though. Two Porcupines are coming in for the yellow player. We're going to be able to get one container, but then these vehicles are going to come in, and they're going to steal the other two. So at this point, I'm HQ4. My planned build is going to be hammers, fire assaults, and a shield generator. Bullet's going to use his Vertex to harass the yellow player and score some nice hits onto the Jaguar tanks. So those Jaguars are going to have to retreat. And there we go, one of the Jaguars gets taken out, and a second Jaguar is going to get taken out as well. So just continue to build my army here. Pretty close to full command points. I tell Bullet to send a scout over to the red player. Let's see what Red's up to. Red's dropping down some walls to protect the front side of their base. And look at this, a full HQ4 army moving for the red player onto the side of the map here. We see Jaguars, Porcupines, and Mammoth tanks. So I'm going to go ahead and move my units into position. We've got hammers, heavy assaults, and fire assaults, and a couple Typhoons in there. And there we go. First major engagement of the game is going to unfold here. Let's see how it pans out. My hammer tanks are moving through the army here while my infantry dish out damage against the tanks. And my hammers are headed straight for the Mammoths, and this resistance army gets absolutely decimated by my ground troops. Bullets coming in with the Vertex to provide air support, and we are able to fully clean up this red player. So at this point, I've got about 80 command points worth of units. I'm going to go ahead and move on to the red player's base. And we can see that Red's only got a handful of troops left. Bullet's now just harassing the red player with those Vertex. Special vehicle factory is going to go down. So that's a nice score for us. And now my hammer tanks and infantry are moving in onto the red player. Let's see how this pans out. I'm going to use a red vehicle attack boost here. Just to try and conserve my gold boost a little bit. Let's see how this plays out. We got some Grenadiers coming in. Looks like we got some Dragonflies from the yellow player as well. Yellow's trying to reinforce their ally. And I'm actually going to pull back here. I've only got a handful of hammer tanks left now and a couple of Typhoons. And that's not going to be enough to press a meaningful assault. So I'm going to go ahead and regroup here. I'm going to take some casualties here, but I'm okay with that. Right now, I feel like we've got the initiative since I was able to fully level the red player's army. So we're going to regroup at the large resource container, try to see if we can get some extra resources for replenishing my army. So now these Dragonflies are firing onto my troops here. Here comes the Vertex, though, from Bullet. Bullet's going to score some nice hits onto those Dragonflies, and the Dragonflies are going to be taken out. So at this point now, I'm going to move another ground army onto the red player's base. We're able to secure that resource container. And at this point, we've got about 90-ish command points of units. A couple shield generators in the mix. Let's go for it. We can see now there's grenadiers and vehicles coming in and dragonflies for the resistance side. Is this going to be enough though? Looks like my ground army is a little too much for the red player. Red's losing all their ground units here. There's only a handful of dragonflies that dish out damage, and they're quickly being taken out by my heavy assaults. And so now we've reached the side of Red's base. Red is in trouble here. We're putting some heavy pressure onto Red. It looks like they're on a gold common defense boost, because these buildings are taking a lot of damage from my ground army here. We've been able to clean up a couple supply centers there. A couple Thors coming in here. Let's see what Bullet decides to hit with the Thors. Direct hit on the assault vehicle factory. You can see that that assault vehicle factory did not go down though, so definitely some kind of boost in terms of defense. Here comes the yellow player coming in with a JCP army. Bullet's now trying to defend the side of the base here. Meanwhile, I'm launching my ground assault into the red player, steadily taking out some of the infrastructure for red. Yellow's now trying to take out the aviation support, and Yellow is going to go to clean up one airfield there. Meanwhile, I'm going to need to retreat. Turns out my ground assault was not successful in finishing the red player. I go ahead and check on Bullet. Looks like Bullet has been able to successfully repel this JCP army with the Zeus tanks and Vertex. So at this point, command points are still pretty full. I'm actually regrouping once again. Same army composition. We got hammers, infantry, couple typhoons, and shield generator in the mix. Thor's coming in now for Bullet. I'm going to score a nice hit on the yellow player. Looks like those buildings are pretty heavily upgraded. And now dragonflies are coming in to try and dish out damage against my ground troops here. So this time, I'm going to go for the front entrance so I can take out those barracks. So let's see how this pans out. Fire assaults are now doing some effective suppression on those barracks while my hammer tanks move in to dish out damage. And we can see now Red's desperately still trying to produce units to defend their base, but this is not looking good. I have a very large army inside the red player's base. And we see those dragonflies are trying to reposition for the yellow player. And yellow's still trying to reinforce their ally. One of the barracks goes down. And we can see that red is slowly losing the fight here to defend their base. Yellow's now trying to send ground troops to reinforce. We see a couple Jaguar tanks and porcupines and a dragonfly coming in as well on the right hand side. Tanks and infantry on my end though just continuing to dish out damage. Looks like my army is starting to lose a little bit of steam here though. My overall command points is still pretty full. I've been constantly producing units. I just need to take some time to regroup. So I'm going to go ahead and move my hammer tanks out of the red player's base. And we're going to regroup with the rest of my troops here. This time my new composition, we've got some more heavy assaults mixed in. And I got the shield generator. I'm going to use a gold air raid boost. And I'm going to position my army underneath the shield generator. This is going to be a nice way to protect my units while I take care of those dragonflies. Ground army now moving in from the yellow player. Thor is coming back in for Bullet. Bullet's going to score a nice hit onto red. That assault vehicle factory is going to go down. And now my troops are once again moving onto the red player's base. Vertex support coming in from Bullet. Nicely done. And looks like there's some infantry on the side there trying to dish out damage. Vertex coming in again to swipe a nice hit on the anti-air tower. And now at this point, red's pretty much out of factories here. They're down to 2 barracks and a special vehicle factory, and that's just not going to cut it. I've got a very large army inside their base, dishing out good damage. Infantry now moving in. Looks like yellow's still trying to reinforce. We see grenadiers and a porcupine on the side there. That's not going to be enough though. I've got fire assaults and heavy assaults and a shield generator in the mix there. My hammers are on the left-hand side, just cleaning up that infrastructure. And pretty much at this point, we can see I'm throwing on some blue construction boosts to fulfill a contract. We know it's a good game, and the rest of this game is just spent cleaning up the red player's base. And at this point, we get a notification that the yellow player has surrendered. Alright, so that's pretty much the end of this battle. Hope you all enjoyed this battle. It's a relatively short battle against the top 100 clan. We will see you in the next battle. Good luck with your battles until then.
Victory.